Wizard-Laminate the Bias User, and today I'm going to be reviewing two King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard albums, with one of them being Laminated Denim and the other being Changes. But I'm going to start with Laminated Denim. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard is no stranger to relatively excessive album releases, but I still couldn't find myself ready for 3 King Giz records in 1 month, hence why I only reviewed one of them so far. But now I finally listened to what I think might be the rest of the band's 2022 catalog. And with this King Giz album, Laminated Denim, I kinda see it as an EP when compared to Omnium Gathering and the first King Gizzard album that dropped in October, that are both over an hour long. Laminated Denim, on the other hand, is 30 minutes long, with only 2 tracks that are both 15 minutes. But neither of them outstay their welcome, and they're both great. Even if I still don't consider either of them to be the best King Giz material I've heard. The first half of this album, The Land Before Timeline, was laid back and made easy to connect to, when giving us the flavorful strings that are all over. And the delivery is never the same, as long as the direction of the track changes. The final half of the record remains laid back, but it does increase in tempo, resulting in a noticeable level of intensity. And there's even a progression to this track that's emphasized a lot in the end, where there's group vocals chanting as guitars are scratching together. I like both of these tracks, but to show my complaints, I will say I wasn't as crazy about the beginning of the second track as I was the end. The beginning was just some decent guitar play, nothing like the build-up around the final couple of minutes. But still, overall, neither of these tracks on Laminated Denim missed. I'm gonna give this album a 7.7. Now on to the other album, and that is Changes. With this King Giz album, it starts with a 13-minute cut that's basically the title track, without the S at the end. And I would say it's a long track that goes through phases, but I feel like this entire record is one long track, because it always seems to keep passages, direction, and riffs from tracks before it. If you like the back and forth sound from the keys on Change, expect to hear it again on Hate Dancin and Gondii. And Hate Dancin instrumentally feels like a part 2 to Change, from the singing to instrumental. But I will make it clear and say, I enjoyed all the tracks I mentioned so far. Change was a great introduction to the album's groove and jazz feel, and in its 13 minutes, it gave a balance of calm and flashy moments. And even when the song was shifting into different tones, it still felt like a progression to its hard-hitting ending, built up by its At Peace with the World humming. And I'm glad there was more of not the humming, but vocal repetition on Hate Dancin, where the vocalist goes from saying he doesn't like dancing, from saying he does. And in the process, we get the play from the keys that are all over this album. But the amount of excitement it displays shows while something can be repetitive, it can still evolve. So me feeling this way results in me understanding why my least favorite song on here, No Body, didn't show any references I noticed from the other songs, outside of its palette of instruments. Not to mention, it just feels like the record doubling down on the slow burner spectrum by putting an even slower song after a track that I did think was pretty good, but definitely one of the slower cuts compared to what I've heard at that point. But once we entered the last 3 songs, the album shows Nobody didn't cut the rope to the highlights of the first half of the album. Gondii brings in the cartoony synth solo and key play from early on and goes hard with its original stuff, like the buzzing bass I get a huge rush out of, or the drums that only feels grounded in its tempo and chooses the stimulating route. Things slow down on Exploding Suns, with also a calm tone, which was risky, making the sounds that were previously in something intense come out more low-key, but it ended up working. And I actually like hearing Stu give a whispering vocal performance, getting backed up by an acoustic filling up gaps if they were there. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard just won't shut up, and continues to be out of the box and change things up with each release. And not only am I happy with this album, and both of them actually, I feel highly fortunate to be here experiencing their musical phase in the 2020s. I'm gonna give this album a 7.8. They were both really good. Their whole year was pretty good. 2022? Yeah, good year for King Giz. Good job.